It was a cold Sunday in mid-November, 2015, the kind of Adirondack morning where frost clings stubbornly to the leaves and the stillness feels ancient. 82-year-old Army veteran Tom Messick took his seat on a stump beside Lily Pond, just off an old logging road. His job was simple: wait quietly for deer to be pushed his way by his hunting partners. It was the kind of assignment he'd done countless times before. But when the others returned that afternoon, his spot was empty. No Tom, no rifle, no pack, his radio gone. It was as if he'd stepped off the earth. The group that day was made up of 6 men, lifelong hunting buddies. Tom was one of the older members, and for good reason. He didn't hike the long drives anymore. Instead, he took the stationary watcher role, where deer flushed by the younger hunters might cross his line of sight. Brant Lake, in the town of Horicon, sits on the fringe of the Lake George Wild Forest, a 70,000-acre stretch of rugged Adirondack wilderness. It's steep country with thick pines, tangled undergrowth, and rock ridges that drop into swamps. That day they were in unfamiliar territory, a section of woods no one in the party had hunted before. Tom was easy to spot, 5'10", about 160 pounds, wearing camouflage and a red and black checkered hat. He carried a bolt-action rifle, a walkie-talkie, nitroglycerin pills for his heart, and a couple of snacks. He also had one blind eye, the result of an accident years ago, but he was still sharp, deliberate, and deeply experienced. The plan was to meet back at 2 p.m. When Tom didn't show, the group wasn't immediately alarmed. Maybe he'd shifted position or followed sign. They fired their rifles, a standard way to signal. No answer. They honked their truck horns, still no response. By 4:30 p.m., with daylight fading and temperatures dropping, they called in the forest rangers. That first night, the search began, flashlights cutting narrow beams through thick timber, voices calling Tom into the cold air. The next morning, the search exploded in scale. Rangers, state police, K-9 teams, and trained volunteers moved into grid patterns. Helicopters hovered low, scanning the ground for any sign. Divers checked nearby water bodies, including Lily Pond itself. At the peak, over 100 people worked the search in a single day. The area was punishing. The pines were thick, the blowdowns worse. Walls of crisscross trunks you had to climb over or crawl under. The ground alternated between soggy lowlands and steep rocky inclines. Early winter rain had turned the leaves slick, and light snow covered tracks before they could be read. Even so, the search was methodical. Crews covered more than 2,500 acres in tight detail during the first week, with air units sweeping far more. Survey tape marked completed areas. Despite all of this, there were no footprints, no scraps of clothing, no gear, nothing. Tom's wife, Beverly, told reporters he was a woodsman. He taught survival for years. If something was wrong, he'd leave some sign. He'd mark a tree. He'd fire his gun. That's just who he was. Searchers also noted something unusual. The forest felt quiet, not just absent of people, but absent of movement. The birds and small game seemed still. On the 4th day, an FBI quick response team joined the search. It's rare for the Bureau to get involved in a missing hunter case on state land. Officials later said there was no evidence of foul play, but their presence lit up speculation. Within Tom's own hunting party, one man reported hearing a strange noise on the ridge that day, about 150 yards from where Tom was posted. It was brief, unfamiliar, and never repeated. He said it wasn't an animal sound. The detail went into the reports but didn't lead anywhere. The months that followed saw the search scaled back but never completely stopped. Rangers called it a limited continuous operation, returning in different seasons, using cadaver dogs when scenting conditions were good, and rechecking key terrain features. As of today, more than 8 years later, there's still no trace of Tom or his equipment. And that brings us to the theories. Theory 1, medical emergency and concealment by terrain. At 82, Tom did have heart problems. A sudden cardiac arrest could have dropped him where he stood. In the Adirondacks, it doesn't take much for the terrain to hide a person, fall into the shadowed side of a blowdown, or behind a rock ledge, and you can vanish from sight even with searchers nearby. The flaw in this theory: the search was immediate, intense, and repeated. Dogs, helicopters, divers, all came up empty. Theory 2, fall into a hidden void. The region has deep fissures, old mine pits, and beaver channels, many hidden by leaves or snow. Some speculate Tom stepped into one and never came back out. It would explain the lack of sign, but the area near his post was close to a road, and most nearby hazards were mapped and checked early in the search. Theory 3. Foul play. Beverly herself wondered about this. Could someone have come down the road, seen Tom alone, and for some reason decided to take him? If a person had access to a vehicle, they could have moved him quickly, erasing the trail before the search began. The problem? There's no physical evidence. Officials say there's no proof of foul play. Still, the FBI's involvement keeps this theory alive. Theory 4. Animal attack. Black bears and coyotes are present, but neither typically targets an armed adult. An attack would leave evidence. Blood, fur, disturbed ground. None was found. Rangers call this unlikely. Theory 5. The walk-off. Even the most skilled woodsman can make sudden, strange decisions. A noise, a shadow, a flash of movement could have drawn him farther than expected. Disorientation or sudden confusion can cause a person to move in circles or head deeper into the wild. But again, the search expanded far beyond his post. If he'd simply wandered, some sign should have surfaced. Theory 6. Stranger explanations. Some fold Tom's case into the missing 411 category. Disappearances in remote areas with unusual patterns. Theories here run from the paranormal to the extraterrestrial. They're not supported by official evidence, but the odd sound, the total lack of sign, and the strange quiet in the forest give this story a place in that conversation. For context, Tom's case isn't the only one in the region. In 2006, a 45-year-old named George LaForest vanished while hunting about 40 miles away. His rifle and hat were found. He wasn't. And in 1971, an 8-year-old boy named Douglas Legg vanished while hiking with his family roughly 25 miles away. The Adirondacks have their share of unsolved vanishings, but Tom's is among the most baffling. The strangest part isn't that a man disappeared in the Adirondacks, it's where and how. He was sitting near a road, within earshot of other hunters. Within hours, a massive search was underway, and in 8 years, the forest has given back nothing. If you ever walk that ridge near Lily Pond in November, you might still see faded strands of search tape snapping in the wind. Locals say the air feels heavier there, the woods quieter. Some say the forest remembers. Others say it never tells. This has been True and Twisted, Hidden Truths. Now you know.